Hi everybody, it's Katie back with another episode of my vlog, and today I want to answer the number one question I get all the time, which is how is Sean doing? So it's time for a stroke dimension update. We are doing pretty well, all things considered. You know, the stroke dimension is still the stroke dimension where things suck and take a lot longer and a lot more effort than they do in otherwise life. And of course, we're still dealing with a COVID lockdown situation. We've taken it pretty seriously. So we've been, 152 days, I think now, only going out for total essentials and not really leaving our house for anything other than that stuff. And Sean hasn't left the house much at all. But other than the fact that we have those two gigantic challenges going on, things are actually going pretty well. Sean is feeling pretty positive. He's been making some gains with his physical therapy and occupational therapy and with his drawing, which I'm sure you guys are all super excited to hear about. We made a pretty big change in the last month. Sean has started trying drawing with his right hand again. You guys remember he's left-handed originally, and the stroke hit the left side of his body harder than the right side. And he has suffered from, in addition to just the loss of motor coordination and control and having to relearn all of that stuff and reestablish those neural pathways, he also suffers from what's called ataxia on the left side of his body, which is, like a shakiness or a tremor. And it's made it super hard for him when he's drawing, obviously, because his hand is shaking. So, he hasn't been able to get the steadiness of line that he wants. He hasn't been able to get the detail level that he wants. And drawing has just felt like this kind of frustrating therapy exercise that he's been doing because he has to and because he really wants to get back to drawing. But it hadn't been, enjoyable, productive art output for him for a while now because it's just been work. And I suggested, and his occupational therapist suggested, well, why not try drawing with your right hand and see how it goes. Sean uses his right hand to use the mouse on the computer. We always shared a computer in the early days, and I'm right-handed, and so he deferred to me and we set it up right-handed. And I think that's been to his advantage here because he's been doing so much with his right hand with the computer mouse, even before the stroke, but then after the stroke, that's been part of his recovery. So he decided to take a try at drawing with his non-dominant hand and see how it goes. And he is doing incredibly well drawing with his right hand and improving with the drawing with his right hand rapidly to the point where he is now pretty much living this kind of ambidextrous existence where he's being left-handed for all the other stuff in life. But then when it comes down to drawing, he's pretty much just using his right hand at this point. And he has blown his occupational therapist and his neurologist away with the progress that he has made with his right hand. They did not expect him to be able to do this well with his right hand this quickly. So instead of talking about that, I'm going to show you guys, because I have Sean's new sketchbook here. I'm going to skip the first few pages and just show you, this is a drawing that he did with his left hand. It's a vending machine. It's a Goblin Co. vending machine sitting on like monster feet, claw feet there. I'm sure you guys can see it since I described what it is. So that is the left-handed version of the drawing. And then he redrew the drawing with his right hand. And I mean, that's just a stunning difference, right, guys? I mean, that's unbelievable. So then he continued drawing with his right hand. So a little sketchbook show and tell here. And I mean, I am blown away with the quality of these drawings and how quickly he's been able to do these drawings. And he reports that he's super satisfied. I mean, they're not where he wants them to be, but he said that drawing feels enjoyable again and not like a chore or a therapy or something that he has to work super duper duper hard at to get the line to be where he wants it. So he's been drawing and writing with his right hand. And as you can see, oh, here's a little sneak peek on a game we're working on called Ghosts, Dogs, and Kings. What's that all about? I don't know. You're going to have to stay tuned. Oh, and speaking of games, one of the things that Sean has been doing is fleshing out different parts of the map of the Wurstrike. So this kind of witch face looking map is actually the west side of the Wurstrike map, where we've never explored yet. And he's working on a bunch of ideas for what happens in that part of the map and that part of the world and the story. So hold on to your horses, but he's working on some Dungeon Degenerates expansion content. Love this guy. So I'm sure you guys can see a difference if you go back and look at the last time I did a sketchbook update. Look at that, dude. Ah! Oh, man. I've looked through this sketchbook so many times, and every time I'm just like, yep. How about this one? That's another game Sean's working on right now. It's called Ouroboros. We don't have the details fleshed out at all, but circular pathway, obviously, and some snakes going on thematically in this game. Get excited. It's going to be good. But I mean, are you guys as blown away as I am by this? It is so good. And again, you know, he's critical about it and it's not where he wants it to be, but it's getting there. Oh, that's the east side of the map. Those are floating islands off the edge of the map. You see airships so you can get to the floating islands. So more Dungeon Degenerates concepts going on and more maps being drawn. There's kind of a close-up idea of what one of these floating islands might look like. I am just blown away with how much progress he's made. Again, with his non-dominant hand. This is not a hand he was ever drawing with before. Ever. But now look at him. This is less than a month worth of practice with his right hand. I think he started on like July, just about a month ago, like July 12th or something. This one's hard to see because it's light pink, but pretty amazing centipede, right? Ah, that is so cool. Lots of practice on his own name, obviously, which is also his tag. More ideas about what's going on with some of these architectures in these other zones of the Wurstrike. More Sean's. More bizarre architecture. I love this stuff. It's so cool to see what is coming out of his mind right now and what's coming out of his pen. And now that his pen can keep up with his mind a little bit better. Look at that. This stuff is so cool. So I'm super impressed. I hope you guys are super impressed. It's kind of unbelievable to me that he's been able to make that much progress with his right hand in this little amount of time. And I'm super excited to see where he's going to be with it in another month or 2 months or 3 months from now, right? He continues to blow me away. So in other art news, he's also, like I said, working on the computer. He's been coloring the tarot cards from the tarot deck that he was working on when he had the stroke. So he's been fleshing out those tarot ideas a little bit more and working more on what, I don't want to say what the finished aesthetic of the deck is, because I actually don't know what he's doing with these cards right now, but it's pretty cool to see them. I think he's sharing some of them on his Patreon, but I'm not positive. But I'll put a link to his Patreon down below because he is posting things there before he posts them other places for his Patreon patrons. Another really exciting thing, if you watched my vlog from last week, is Sean has done a new zine, which is so totally awesome because this is one of his earliest art forms. He's been doing zines since he was like 12 years old. And so he did the first official Dungeon Degenerates zine. I told him, of course, now that he's done the official one, he's going to have to do the unofficial one also. But sales of this has been great so far. Thank you to everyone who's bought a copy. We have it in both physical copy and available as a digital download if you don't want to pay shipping. But this is really cool because, you know, you get a mix of Sean's visual artwork and his writing. And, you know, like I said, it's kind of a return to form for him, but it's also the first zine he's done since he had a stroke. So, you know, it's flavored a little bit differently, obviously, than his previous work. But it's really cool to see him making zines again. So that's another awesome piece of artwork that's going on around here. And then, of course, like I said, he's been working on concepts for the next Dungeon Degenerates expansion project. And I know tons of his fans are just waiting for more Dungeon Degenerates playable content. So we are working on it, but again, slow process here in the stroke dimension, but I know you guys are giving us some space and all the time we need to work on this project, so thank you. The other progress that Sean has made outside of the world of art progress is in terms of his physical therapy. We bought him a adult tricycle for his birthday back in June, and it was a little rough start getting out the door and getting on the trike. It felt pretty intimidating. It was a new thing, all that, but he's gotten used to it, and we've been going out. We've been trying to go out at least twice a week for a little ride around our neighborhood together, and he's getting faster and more confident and better at riding, which is awesome because that means he's going to be able to ride longer amount of time, which means he's going to, of course, increase his stamina for other things. And it's a great way for him to get out and get more exercise without having to super tire himself out by walking. But his walking progress is also going really, really well. He has moved from using a walker as his primary assistive device to using hiking poles instead, which, if there was places to go right now, would make it easier for us to get around because he doesn't have to rely on places that he can only use a walker to get into. And one of the things that he's been doing just in the last couple weeks, which is really awesome, is he's been taking outside walks in our backyard with his hiking poles, which is considerably more challenging than it sounds like. We've got kind of a not very well maintained lawn that's pretty uneven and pitted, and we've got kids that leave toys and sticks and whatever all over the place. So taking a walk in our backyard is actually quite a bit of effort for him, and he's been getting out there. Again, he tries to do it like every 2 or 3 days. Take a walk out into the backyard, have a seat, chill out for a little bit, and then walk back into the house. And when he was doing it at first, he wanted me to go with him every time to spot him and, help him if he needed anything. But the last few times that he's gone out for his walk in the yard, he's wanted to do it by himself. And he's felt safe enough to do it by himself, which is, of course, incredibly awesome. One of the things about being in stroke recovery is he kind of needs someone with him a lot of the time. He used to need someone with him all the time. But he's getting stronger and he's getting better. And so that means he's able to act more independently, which is completely awesome. And obviously the entire end goal of what we're doing here. So yeah, that's what's going on in the stroke dimension. We still have our bad days and we get frustrated. And like I said at the top of the video, everything takes much, much longer and is considerably more frustrating than it was in the before times, I guess. But I'm trying not to talk about our previous life as like normal life, because the stroke dimension is our normal life. But we've made that adjustment. We've slowed our expectations down and said, okay, this is frustrating and this is slow and we're really limited in a lot of ways, but let's have as much fun and joy and love as we can within that framework. We're both feeling pretty good. It's a weird question when people ask how we're doing. You never quite know how negative to go with it, but I think, like I said, both of us are feeling pretty good, all things considered. And I'm definitely feeling super positive about the trajectory that Sean's on, especially with his drawing right now, obviously. So that's it for my stroke dimension update. Hope you guys have enjoyed this peek into what the world of stroke recovery is like. And I hope you're feeling enthusiastic about Sean's artwork and how that is going, because like I keep saying, I'm just super stoked that he has found this route to getting back to where he wants to be artistically. It's really hopeful for me, and it's definitely a better place to be in than we were in a couple months ago before we found this awesome path. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Of course, if you have any questions or comments, let me know down below, or you can always email me, Katie, Katie, @goblinco.com. I will be back in a few more days with this Cinema Club Sunday Roundup. Until then, take care and thanks for watching.